Hey, what's up guys? Sig Designs here, and a couple of you asked for a tutorial on how to do 3D motion tracking. So I'm going to go ahead and make that tutorial for you guys today. This is going to be kind of complicated, and you are going to need three things to accomplish this. You're going to need Cinema 4D, Boujou 5, and Adobe After Effects CS6. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing we're going to do, or that you guys should do, is record a clip. Now this clip can be pretty much anything you want. You just want to make sure you have some adequate lighting and there's some contrast between colors. Kind of like on my desktop background here, we've got the Eiffel Tower, but you can see there's some darker areas and some lighter areas. To motion track accurately, that's the kind of footage you need. You want kind of some darker and lighter areas. So like gravel would work, because on the tops of the rocks it would be lighter, and in between the cracks and crevices of all the gravel it'd be darker because of shadows. That would be good for motion tracking, just for an example. So anyways, I basically just want to tell you guys, you want to have a pretty adequate clip if you want this to work correctly. So anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into this. Once you've got your clip on your desktop, we're just going to go here and let's go ahead and open up Adobe After Effects CS6. Once it opens up here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to File. We're going to import the file. So go ahead and to wherever you save the clip, import it. We'll go ahead and import your video. And before we even do anything, we're going to right click on that video. As soon as this wants to comply, we're going to interpret footage, go to main, and we're going to conform the frame rate to exactly 24 frames per second and press OK. Okay, and now we're just going to drag this into a new composition. Go to composition, and then we're going to go to composition settings, check and make sure the frame rate is in fact 24. Once we do that, we're just going to go to File, Export, Add to Render Queue. Click on where it says Output Module, click on Lossless. Change the format to JPEG sequence, press OK, and Output to. We're just going to create a new folder here real quick. Let's title it Motion, just to make it real quick. Select that folder, hit save, and this is where all your frames are going to be saved. So you want to save it in a folder. Don't save it to your desktop, or you're going to have a ton of files on your desktop, since this is going to save every single frame as an image, which is what we need in order to import this into Boujou. Anyways, once you get this done, you're just going to go ahead and hit render. It'll go ahead and render this out. Shouldn't take too long. The clip's only about I believe 10 or so seconds long, 20 seconds maybe. So I'll come back when it's finished. As it is finished, it just exported to my desktop, and now we can just go ahead and close After Effects. We do not need to save the changes, that is unnecessary. Okay, and right here, if we go ahead and open up the folder in which we saved it in, you will see every single frame is saved individually in this folder. Okay, we're just gonna exit out of that. Let's go ahead and open up Boujou 5. Give that a minute to open up. Okay, and now we're just going to go up to Import Sequence, and we're going to find wherever we saved our folder with our JPEG sequence. So in this case, it'd be my desktop, be the motion folder, and we're just going to click on the very first image here because it'll open up in a sequence. You should see this. It'll show your image sequence right here. Since we set the frame rate to 24, it should say that right here. We're just going to press apply, and we're going to hit close. And right now, if we just drag this on the timeline, you can see that the footage that we took. And now what we need to do is we need to go to the track features, or actually go to the task view tool tab, click on cameras, click on the plus button here on camera 1, double click on sequence 1, and change the frame rate to 24. For some reason in here it's set to 25 by default, I guess, but we really need that to be at 24. Our frame rates need to match up, or else your motion tracking is going to be way off in the end. So it's very important that your frame rates are exact. Okay, so go ahead and change that. Then we'll go here, we'll hit track features, and we'll hit start. And right now it's going to go through, it's going to track the motion of your clip. Now depending on how long your clip is and how fast your computer is, will depend on how long this takes. For me, this probably won't take too long. It's only a 20-second clip. My computer's pretty fast. So anyways, I won't make you guys sit through this. I'll come back when it's finished. So just got done motion tracking our footage here. You can see all these little squiggly lines and crap. So it's pretty much all over the place. So now what we need to do is make this a little bit more accurate and clean it up a little bit. So the next step to do here is go up to Camera Solve and make sure you select the option that says Optimize Camera Path Smoothness, and then you're just going to hit Start. Basically what this is going to do, like I said, is going to go in, kind of clean our points up, you know, make only pick out the most accurate points that would be best for motion tracking. And after that, we'll have about a couple more steps to do, and we'll be done. We can import this into Cinema 4D and start doing the fun stuff. So I will once again come back when this is finished. Shouldn't take too long. I will see you guys in a minute. This got finished. That took roughly 1 minute to do that. And you'll notice if you did this correctly, you should see a bunch of blue and yellow points in your clip. That's good. So what I'm going to do is find an adequate frame here to do the next step. We'll go to about right here. Okay, and at this point in time, you guys need to start thinking about your clip as in being in 3D space rather than a flat image, because this next part can get a little bit tricky, and you need to make sure you do this correctly in order for this to work the most accurately. So what we need to do now is go to Scene Geometry, Add Scene Geometry. We're going to go to Add Coordinate from Hint, okay? And right here we have the option to change the coordinate, the type, so x-axis, y-axis, or z-axis. We're going to select the origin for right now, and what we're going to do is we're going to select basically the origin. What's going to be the focal point? What's going to be the middle point of our 3D perspective here, if that makes any sense. So if you think of a coordinate plane, think of the intersection between the y-axis and the x-axis. Obviously, where those two lines cross, that's going to be your origin. So for this shot, I'm just going to use these 3 points right here. And if you're on Mac, you're going to want to press Command, left-click on each dot, each point to select more than one. If you're on Windows, obviously you're going to hit Control and do the same thing. Once we've selected our points for our origin, we're just going to hit Connect to Selected. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is go back up to Add Coordinate from Hint, change this type to the x-axis, and x-axis is flat left to right, so we're going to select points that are basically in line. 2 is really all we need from left to right, so I'll select this one, and let's see, I'll select this one. These are basically look pretty much in line with each other for the most part. It doesn't have to be exact, but it does have to be fairly accurate. So these 2 points will work for me, so I'll hit Connect to Selected, and for this particular shot all we need to do now is that a z-axis, and whoops, didn't mean to do that. Undo. Make sure you always add coordinate from Hint, then change the type to z-axis here, and this is your depth. So like I said, think of this as being in a 3D perspective rather than a flat image, and the front, like this dot right here, would be the front, and these dots back here would represent the back. So I'm going to select this one here in the front, hold Command, left click on this one here in the back, and that's going to signify our depth here, and we're going to hit Connect to Selected. Okay, and let me undo that. I accidentally had those points over there selected, so make sure you only have the points that you want selected. Do that again. Alright, Connect to Selected, so now it says 2 tracks connected, so it's just these 2 points, front to back. And now we're just going to hit Update Coordinate Frame. It refreshes. We can hit Close, and to make sure we track this accurately, we can add in a test object, and just hit Close. And if this, they call this Ladybird, if it stays pretty much flat on your origin and stays motion tracked, it's not sliding around the screen, then you did this, you did a good job motion tracking. So you can see here, we did a pretty decent job with this motion track, and we're ready to import this scene into Cinema 4D almost. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and export the motion track here we have. So we're going to go to Export Camera. Let me browse. Let's save this to the desktop. This is going to be your Cinema 4D file. This is what we're going to open up in Cinema 4D and basically make the finished product. So I'll just name this Motion Tracking. We'll hit Save. Make sure your export type is set to Cinema 4D, so it's a Cinema 4D file that Cinema 4D can read. check off use format default here. Make sure the start index is 0, and then go over to the scale scene, change that to 100. Alright, and we're basically set up. So we're just going to hit save. It's going to go ahead and export our camera. Now don't worry about this test object. It's not going to be there. So you don't have to worry about that. And basically we're done with Boujou right now. So we can go ahead and quit it. Now I would recommend you save your Boujou project so you don't have to go in and track the features again and do the camera solving and all that stuff. So I'd save it just in case you make a mistake with this next part I'm about to show you. So go ahead and save your Boujou 5 project. I'll name it whatever. Save it to my desktop. Take a second to save. Okay, so here we are back. I just went ahead and saved that project just in case we make a mistake with this next part, because this next part is probably going to be the last tricky part of this whole tutorial. You need to make sure you do this correct as well. If I go ahead and show you, there's a little bit of issue. I guess someone made a mistake whenever they made Boujou 5 compatible with Cinema 4D. And if I go ahead and show you the problem here, you might have a better understanding of why we need to fix this. So I'm just going to open up the camera we exported from Boujou 5 here in the Cinema 4D format. We'll give this a minute to open up. And the issue that we're having is very evident right away, actually. So alright, we'll just press OK. Alright, let me stretch my timeline out here. Alright, you can see all our points. These are the points that we motion tracked in Boujou 5. If we go ahead and scroll on our timeline, you can see that they're moving all over. They're just sliding around in free space, and they should not be doing that. They should be in one point. The camera should move around them instead the points are moving with the camera, if that makes any sense. Nevertheless, if you try to motion track with this issue, you might as well not be motion tracking at all, because this totally defeats the purpose. Anyways, I'll quit rambling on. We're going to go ahead and quit this. We won't save that. How we're going to fix this is on this file right here. We're going to right click, open with, other. We're going to scroll down. If you're on Windows, use Notepad. Mac is going to be text edit for me. And you're going to find this. Alright, and over here I have this option right here that we need to change some of these values. So in your motion tracking.c4d thing that we opened up in Notepad or text edit, you're going to hit Command F if you're on Mac, Control F if you're on Windows. That'll bring this option up, and what we're going to do is do what it says right here. So it says do a search for this key. So we're going to do that, paste it. Should find it, it's right there. Okay, now we're going to change it to this key. So we're just going to copy this and highlight this key right here and paste it over. So we're just going to hit paste. Alright, and then come up to the key directly above it that has a negative. Get rid of that. Okay. Now we're going to delete this. Going to go to replace. Okay, now we're going to find what it says here, ParentItem 101. And we're going to replace this with 102. Alright, we're going to go left click, hold down on all, replace all. Replace once again to make sure everything's replaced. Hit done, and we're going to go to file. Make sure you save this before you exit out of this. File, save. I'll do it a couple times to make sure. And now we should be good to go and should have a pretty good track. So let's go ahead and open this back up again. We'll leave the scale at 10. Let's go ahead and adjust our timeline. And now if we scrub through the timeline, you can see that our points are actually tracked. They are staying in one single spot like it's supposed to. And if we go ahead and play this, you can see it's tracked our camera movement basically. So this is how we're going to export the final render with the 3D motion tracking. So we're just about there, guys. What we need to do now is let's go ahead. We need to drop in a background. So go to the 4 icon, go to background, double click down here in the materials section, double click on that, go to texture, load image, and we're just going to go to our motion folder and open up the first image of our sequence here. Press open, hit no, click on the image here, go to animation, calculate, and check off specular, and we're just going to drag this material right onto our background. And you can see if we go ahead and play this, there is our footage. So now if we went ahead and did a quick render of this, you can see we've actually got our footage in here, and we can start placing in objects. So before we even do that, let's go ahead and get a floor in here so we can get some shadows going on. It's very important if you're going for a more realistic look. So what we need to do with this floor is, if we go ahead and give this a quick render, you can see it's just gray. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this material onto the floor, change the projection to frontal, right click on the floor, Cinema 4D tags, compositing, check off self-shadowing, and check on compositing background. If we go ahead and give this a quick render, our image still looks the same. However, we can drop in objects now, and there'll be lighting. So I've got a Minecraft pack thing with some characters and some items. So I'm just going to drop in a Minecraft Steve here, and scale him up a little bit. Alright, and if we go ahead and do this, give this a quick render. That is now motion tracked into our footage. If we went ahead and play this, you can see he's actually staying on in his that one spot. So that's what we want. But this doesn't look very good or too convincing. It still looks like it totally doesn't belong there. So we need to add in some lights. So I'm just going to drag in an area light right here, and make sure we go to shadow. Let's go to shadow map soft, change the density to about, we'll just say 75%. See how that looks. Alright, so now we've got some shadows going on. However, this is facing the wrong direction, so what we're going to do is we're just going to rotate this negative 90 degrees, or 180. My bad. Okay, and let's just go ahead and drag this light back behind him a little bit. So there he is. Alright, now he's too dark on the front side, so let's just drag in another light, bring it up. That should light the front side of him. And let's go here. Try that, see what that looks like. Alright, so that looks a little better. I'm actually not liking that too much. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so you can see that's casting a shadow forward, so let's try to adjust this a little bit. And it's kind of just trial and error. You kind of just have to play with it a little bit. I'm just going to rotate him for a second. Face him this way. And let's just drag in a regular light. Let's see what that looks like. Alright, that looks a little better. That light's a little bit too close for him though. Or close to him, I should say. Alright, that looks fairly decent. I'm not gonna play around with the shadow too much. There's really no need to do that, but that's basically almost it. Now what we could do is we could go into our window, our render settings, go to effect, add an ambient occlusion, and immediately takes a little bit longer to render, but you get kind of a nicer effect here. It looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit more realistic. So we could also go in and add ambient or global illumination. Go to the radiance sketch, change this to low, and change the stochastic samples and the vector density to low, and give this a quick render. So that looks pretty good. I mean, it's not the greatest, but you know, for the purpose of this tutorial, this works. And basically, if we were to go ahead and play this, render this out, he is going to be motion tracked in our footage. So he's not going to be sliding around all across the frame, looking like he's just a sticker that's been stuck on the actual clip on a TV or something. You guys know what I'm saying. So it's really that simple. So yeah, guys, I think that'll do it for this tutorial. I apologize if I rambled on too long, but just wanted to make sure you guys got a pretty good understanding of how this works and how it's done. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. Please give this a video a like. Really appreciate it. Leave a comment down below with any thoughts or future tutorials you may have or you'd like for me to do. And yeah, I will see you guys later. So peace out.